Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending once again, and welcome to another installment of Transformation Greatness along with the Small Business Network podcast. I am your host here, Sean A. White, and tonight we have a very special guest. She is no stranger to the podcast, but there is something different this time because now she is one of our newest co-hosts, and I tell you, she is something special. And this is going to be a fantastic, fantastic time. And I'm just so happy. So happy. So with that being said, do me a favor, if you will. If you're catching us on the live, put in the hashtag live, guys. Let us know exactly where you're tuning in from. And if you should happen to catch us on a replay, by all means, put in hashtag replay. And no, dude, we're gonna go ahead and get started here because our very special guest is new as far as to our organization. She is someone that has really been very consistent as far as in this industry on social media. She's been all over as far as on the social media platforms, respectively. You may know her as far as Straight Out of Savannah. She does a lot of many different things, and I tell you, she has built a brand all in itself. And as she is adjusting her phone, it looks like as far as like she's having some technical difficulties, but she'll get it right though. She'll get it right, no doubt about it. So with no further ado, we have here upside down here, the one and only Miss Tammi Morrison, which is hailing all the way from the West Coast, guys, in Seattle, Washington. And even though it's still kind of this way, maybe she can adjust her phone a bit more so that way she can be on the right side. That would be amazing, by the
You
way.
know what? I'm gonna go out and come back because it's not doing anything. I mean,
Okay.
I have it landscape. It's still doing that.
Mm, it's kind of wonky. There you go. Perfect. There you go. I know you just had it. There you
Yeah,
go,
but
right there.
but I have it straight up and down.
You have it. I'm sorry.
It's not landscape. That's what I'm saying.
Well, just leave it there then. Just leave it there. Just leave it there. Then that's totally fine. So with no further ado, the star of the show is actually here, guys. I mean, you've been following me for quite some time, so you know who I am. I don't have to, get into my bio and the whole spiel because it's not about me. It's about this amazing human being over here to my right. And as you see, she is rocking in royalty, in which, as it should be, the one and only Mrs. Tammi Morrison, hailing out from Seattle, Washington. So first and foremost, Soul Sister Morrison, hello, and how are you doing?
I'm well. I am well. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Little cold where I am, but otherwise it's good.
Absolutely. And once again, if you're just tuning in, welcome once again to Transformation Greatness along with the Small Business Network podcast. This is my very special guest here, which I consider her as my soul sister, but also as well, guys, because of the fact that she decided to bet on herself, right? She is a part now of the Small Business Network, and she's our new co-host. So you're going to be seeing this amazing face a whole lot more. So with no further ado, just in case if people are not familiar with you, can you introduce yourself to the listening audience?
Absolutely, Sean. Thank you for inviting me. This is different from me because I'm usually the host. So, but I am Tammi Morrison, and I am a wife and a mother and a G-ma, which I affectionately call myself as a grandmother. I also just had a birthday, so I just turned 55 years old, which is so amazing, and I'm so excited about that.
Congratulations.
Um, Thank you. But I'm a spiritual empowerment mentor, also now a TV radio personality, but a spiritual empowerment mentor. I also create Reiki infused products, including jewelry, bath soaks, cleansing, lavender spray. I also have written and published 3 books, and I also am a speaker. And so, and probably a few more things that I haven't included. But my mission on this planet is really to empower people and to help them to connect to their soul gifts, to the gifts that they have inside of them, and actually make, help them to bring them out and to get into the world and get into the space where they are living their best life. So I guess, somebody told me the other day I was a spiritual life coach. So I'll take that. And I just love actually talking to people and actually doing these interviews. And I love to actually just come on here and share, everything that's good.
Outstanding. Let so let's go ahead and bring it back to the beginning, shall we? Because a lot of times, obviously, we just don't wake up and just say like, "Hey, I want to be a life coach. I want to be a change agent, right? A spiritual healer." So let's go back to the beginning if we can. What first inspired you to really walk this journey? Because clearly, it had to come with a committed decision. But give us some bio, please.
Sure. Um, so I actually got divorced after 20 years. And that actually brought some shifts into my life. And I was listening to God, universe, source, my higher self, whatever you call him, her, them, your guidance. And I got a message that it was time for me to leave the place where I was at. I had lived in this place for almost 2 decades. So probably, I think about 17 years, something like that. Basically raised my children there. And I got this message from the Holy Spirit that it was time for me to go. So I packed my stuff and went because I was divorced. My children were all grown, and I felt like I was drowning where I was. I was drowning, I was struggling, and I was like, okay, no. So when I got that message, I took that leap. And so when I did that, I was able to connect with a mentor that helped me, figure out who I was, because that was the one thing, and that's something that I share often, is when you go through a divorce or even a major breakup. Like if you've been with somebody 10 years and stuff, that's the same thing, because
Right,
you've been there, you've commingled, in a lot of
right,
ways, financially a lot of times.
correct,
People buy houses that are in relationships and stuff.
correct,
And so, when you come out of that, a lot of times you don't know who you are. Because if you're a person like I am, that you're a giver, so you give and give and give and give. And then, especially because many of us have been conditioned that way, to give until it hurts. Y'all been to church where they say, oh, give until it hurts. And so you do that in your life as well. And then when you go through a challenge such as that, you have to figure out who you are and where you're going and what it is that you want to do. Because, up until that point, I had done things that everybody else wanted me to do, because, I was a mother, I was a wife at 19, I was a mother at 21 and 22. So it was never about me for years. It was always about, the kids, the husband, always somebody else, the church,
right.
all kinds of things. And so once I got to that space where I knew that it was time for me to make a shift, but I just didn't know what, and I didn't know where. And so when I got that message from the Holy Spirit, I got that message, and it was actually this month, November, probably around this time, because it was after my birthday. I remember that. And it was just like a bam, like just like we're talking right here. That was how it came to me, in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning at work. And then once I got that, my cousin actually reached out to me, which was so synchronistic, because I hadn't talked to her probably in about 15, 20 years.
Mm,
But we were close growing up. And so she called me, and she's like, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. I said, but I got to get out of here. It's time for me to
right.
go. And she actually had come from that place as well, so she knew. So she said, you can come out here with me if you want to. And so I did. Went out there, Arizona, stayed with her for 6 months, almost to the day. And then I got my own little space because I needed it. But it was a lot of things that I went through when I went there. And my mentor at the time, he told me that I came there for healing, because he said that Arizona is a place that people come for healing. It's a
Right.
healing. And so I recognized that, and I began to do that. And then as I began to do that, I began to recognize, the that I needed that I was a healer, which I knew from a child. I knew that from probably 4 years old. and so but I hadn't really done anything with it because I wasn't in that space. But then when I got up there and I was able to, he was able to mentor me and actually teach me a lot of things about the law of attraction, and he taught me about the Bach flower remedies, which was one thing that I'm actually getting back into that because that was so healing for me, because he created me some remedies and I took them, which is how I know that they work.
Okay.
But they work on the emotional components of disease. So all of the things that are behind the diseases is what this works on. And so
Oh,
as I started doing that, and I started studying Reiki, and I studied theta healing and all these things. And before that, before I moved across the country, I had gone to ministry school. So I had already done that. I had already gone to ministry school and all of this. And then I went out there and I learned that God was so much bigger than what I knew and what I was taught.
right,
So much bigger, so many things, and so much of what we were taught was evil was not evil. And I found out a lot of that, and it was almost like the world just started opening up. And so then I realized that, I always had this gift to help people, and I always had this gift where I could hold space for people. And I have been a prayer warrior all my life since
right,
I was 4 years old, because my grandmother was a pastor. And she would call me up when she would go to little healing services at these little tiny churches in South Carolina and Georgia and Florida and North Carolina and Alabama. We've been to all those places, and people would call her to come and do healing services, and we would go, and she would call me up to come up and lay hands on people and pray for them, and they would be healed.
right,
So I knew from that time that I was supposed to be doing that, but I didn't know how. And a part of it was like, I did not want to do it the way that people did it back in those days. I
right.
couldn't, I just couldn't get with all of the manipulation and the brainwashing that religion had for me. And I couldn't do it. So
Mm,
I had to just really start diving in and figuring out, where to go from there. And so that was how I got to this space where, I've learned all these different things, and I'm still learning, Sean,
yeah,
we never stop learning. We just keep learning.
that's correct.
There's a few different modalities. Well, was one in particular that I really want to do, and I'm looking to do that next year. But so many different things have opened up for me since then, really stepping into this world of spiritual life coaching is what I'm told it is. And
Mm,
helping people to, balance their chakras, and teaching them how to ground, and teaching them about their gifts, and letting them know, reassuring them and supporting them, so that they know that they're not losing their mind. Because many times when people start opening up on those gifts, because the thing is, we all have them. We all have them. I don't care what you say, we have them. And we all have all of them. But a lot of times they're dormant because you either don't know how to use them, you don't know about them, there's all kinds of reasons. But we all have them. So as they start opening up, many times it takes us to open the door. Because I really feel like if I hadn't made that move, and that move actually produced a lot of things for me that were amazing. And that's why I know that it was it was divine. It was orchestrated by the divine. you know and
absolutely.
and I had people that told me when I got ready to leave that God wouldn't tell you to go someplace you didn't know people, and you didn't have a job. Some people
Mm,
told me. And I said, okay, so these are people that go to church,
mm-hmm,
and that are religious, but apparently you don't read the Bible at all.
mm,
Or you think that the things that happen in the Bible can't happen now.
right,
Or that
right,
God doesn't speak to us like he spoke to Moses and Abraham and David and Jesus and all of them.
correct.
So I had to really, dive into that. And I lost a few friends that way, because I know what I know. And I know what God told me. I
But
have
also,
known God's voice forever.
but you know what's very interesting,
Yeah, yeah.
and which that I've learned in this journey, that when you truly find out on what your calling is, and when you're truly authentic, and when you're a type of individual that you're learning and you're growing, and you're also willing to challenge certain maybe ideologies, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
really question it. Isn't it amazing on how people truly start to show themselves, right, for who
Woo!
they really are? And more so, you do actually get a lot of resistance because what you're doing is that you're challenging as far as, the norm for them, right? You're challenging
Yes.
that mental conditioning. And so it's
Yes.
very interesting on when you said that, and that's the reason why for the kind of work that me and you do, you have to build in terms of like spiritually, you have to build that spiritual muscle. That's what I'm trying to
Yes.
get at.
Yes.
Because there's going to be a lot of people that's going to want to come against you, like, how dare you? And well, it says in this and it says in that, and it's always been done this way, right? And
We
that's
always
just the way
do
it
this.
is, right? And who are you to try to come and rock the boat, right? I mean, trust me, Jesus been through that many, many times. That's well documented, right?
Yeah,
So
Jesus was a
if
boat
it,
rocker.
right, so if he went through that, right, then imagine us, right? We are not exempt from that. So that's definitely a great point. I want to ask you this. I want you to talk more so about what you currently been doing. I know as far as for the past couple of years, you've been doing Straight Out Savannah, which by the way, I'm like an avid fan. I mean, just amazing, amazing guests that you have on board and the content that they bring, in my opinion, is second to none. So maybe you can elaborate on that. Like, what inspired you with the idea to create that title and just really putting it all together, right? Maybe you can explain that because I'm pretty sure there are individuals that's going to be watching this
Yeah.
that's probably want to have a podcast, right? They may have an idea or a concept, but just don't know how to start. So maybe by
Yeah.
your story, they can kind of get some ideas, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. Straight out of Savannah. So the really weird part about it is I got this idea because I've been doing this show I think about 4 years, and so I
Correct.
got this idea, and I was like, but I don't know how to do that. The Holy Spirit dropped it in. Like downloads came, and I was like, but I don't know how to do that. And I was like, but and I came up with my whole list of excuses. I don't have any experience doing that. I don't know how to edit. I can't. I can. All these things, and then finally, the Holy Spirit was like, do it. How you know it? Started on YouTube. So that's where it started. I actually started doing Facebook Lives like this, and I would download them and put them on YouTube. And so then I started just doing it, recording it, and then putting it on YouTube. And then later on, I actually interviewed a young lady, and she said, "Have you tried Anchor FM?" And I said, "I thought I tried." I said, "But it was so complicated and hard." And one thing about me, if it's crazy, super complicated and hard, then that means that's not for me to do at that time. It might be something that needs to come back later. It's just not aligned for that moment, and it's okay. Because I speak that everything I do is easy.
Correct.
That's what I speak. And so when I did that, I actually uploaded it to Anchor, and it was easy. And I was like, oh my God. And so I started doing that. But the inspiration, because I used to just interview, anybody that was changing the planet. My tagline was I interview entrepreneurs who are changing the planet. And so I would do that. And I did that probably for the last, I think, 3 or 4 years.
Tammy, give
And
me
then,
1 second. Continue, because I'm just checking here because I'm just waiting on dinner to arrive. But keep on going though, okay, guys. I'll be right back. But keep on going.
okay. All right. So I really just had this notion that I wanted to, get myself out there and really start having these conversations because I really do enjoy the conversations. I really do. I geek out on it. I do. And so this year I decided, it came to me, and I decided that I was going to niche my podcast down to just doing spiritual entrepreneurs. And the thing about the podcast is it kind of started, doing itself because I did I went to YouTube University and did my research on how to actually do it and how to put it out there. And then I just started talking about it and just sharing with people and talking about it. and sharing it with people, and and just reaching out to people and saying, hey, I got this show, and I would love to interview you. I still do that. I see people on you Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, and so I reach out to find a way to reach out to them and connect and say, hey, how you doing? I'm loving what you're doing, and I get to talk to amazing people. And talking to the spiritual entrepreneurs, that really geeks me out because we speak the same language. So
Correct.
I've interviewed mediums and psychics, and that's been so enlightening and so amazing. And then I think the last two that I did was Mark Rodriguez, and he was amazing. And
That's my
although
guy
he's
right
not a spiritual
there.
entrepreneur, awesome,
That's
I
my guy
had
right
I
there.
had to talk to him because I needed to get that story, and I needed to hear,
Absolutely.
you know. And the backstory about me is I always wanted to go to school for journalism. That was what I wanted to go for. But my parental units said that how you gonna eat because those people are starving artists, and you don't miss meals.
Right, 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 right.
They love to discourage us from what our dreams are if it doesn't make sense to them, just like what you were just talking about.
Correct.
If it doesn't make sense to them, then they can't, because you're down on what you're not up on. They can't see it, and the thing is they're not going to be able to see it because it's your vision. God gave it
Correct.
to you.
Correct.
you know so if you're running around here expecting somebody else to grab hold of your vision and run with it, no,
That's correct.
those are
That is
not the
correct.
expectations to have because it's your vision,
That-
and I have been that person all my life, really, Sean. I've been that person that has done things that are different, went against the grain, all of that kind of stuff, and is I don't know any other way to be, and when
Mm,
people try to put me in a box, I can't get in there, you because I'm not designed to live there.
correct.
And so a lot of times we don't even realize that, people are trying to put us in a box. I had a conversation with someone earlier today, and I said, people always want you to do one thing. I said, but that's never me. I'm never that. I cannot do it. I'm not designed to do it that way. I was like, everybody ain't designed to be a cookie cutter.
Correct. Correct.
Because I was a person that I never ever saw myself retiring from anywhere because I felt like I'm supposed to have my own stuff. I'm not supposed to be working for the man,
Mm,
but yeah, so the podcast has been an interesting journey, because you came on my podcast because
yes.
found you.
Yes, I did.
And it was such an interesting journey because I've spoken to so many people over the years. I mean, like I interviewed people that this one couple did seasonings, and I interviewed them. And they were amazing. It was funny. And then I interviewed a girl that she does lashes, and she created her own lash university,
Look at
which,
that. Wow.
right?
Wow.
We actually talk back and forth sometimes now. She's a sweet girl. And
Wow.
then I interviewed this young girl. She was 19, Sean, and she's in Columbus, Georgia. And I
Wow.
interviewed her, and she does braids, and she actually created her own course for women, especially white women that have biracial kids, to teach them
Mm.
how to do their hair.
Wow. Wow.
That's what I said. 19 years old. I was like blown away. So those are the conversations that I've had with people that, they light me up. Like this lights me up. I could do this every day, right?
Absolutely. 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 And for all those that's in attendance, welcome once again to Transformation Greatness along with the Small Business Network podcast. This is episode 151 with our very special guest, my soul sister, and also newest co-host to the Small Business Network podcast. This is so exciting here. The one and only Mrs. Tammi Morrison. Man, this is like, you know what? This is such an honor and a treat. And again, guys, if you haven't subscribed as far as to her channel, Straight Out Savannah, she is on YouTube. She's also on TikTok, Instagram. Definitely follow this woman here. I'm telling you, she's making amazing things happen. So let me ask you this: what can people expect since that you're going to be a co-host with us? What can people expect from you?
Authenticity.
I'm sorry.
I said authenticity. They can
Elaborate.
expect me to bring my authentic self. I laugh. I tell people, I said I bring my authentic, intuitive self. And to bring, and also, it's all about the conversations, right?
Correct.
So I love that. So I will be bringing all of that. I'll be bringing, my show onto the network, which I'm super already excited about. Um, and just the opportunity to be able to speak to people on a global level, on a more global level, because always better together, I feel like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have here Paula, life coach in the building. Wow, this is very, very nice. I haven't heard from life coach in quite some time. We definitely need to catch up, ma'am. But thank you so much for joining. We definitely do appreciate that. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Tammy, because me and you talk a lot, right? And there are so many individuals that have amazing gifts. They have amazing
Yes.
talents, and yet they have so many great ideas. And I think that one of the things is, and one of the most common hiccups is like really knowing where to start, or more so doubting themselves because they may not have the support, right? They may not have the financial backing, they may not have the equipment, they may not have whatever the case. I want you to be able, based upon your experience and based upon what you learned, what would be your best advice for that man or woman that is feeling like, man, I love what you guys are doing, but it's kind of way over my head. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta wait before, I catch up on child support, or I gotta wait until I'm caught up on my bills, or I have the correct lighting, or I have to wait until that course has been finalized, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What would you say to that particular individual that may be thinking about that, right? And it's weighing
Just
on their
do it.
minds heavily.
Just do it. Just do it. We like to complicate things, and we like to take it all kind of different places and all kind of ways, but really it's just all about doing it. It's about stop thinking about it and start doing it. Start walking through, because here's the thing, Sean, pretty much, to a point now, yeah, to a point, whatever we want to do, we find a way to get it done.
That's correct.
You know, to a point. Now, I'm not saying, I would like to, buy a house, but, I got to fix some things first before we can, do that journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But typically, if it's something that like you want something to wear, or something, you're going out, or you're going on a vacation or whatever, and you want to go get some things, you figure out a way to do it. You
which
know,
is true.
whether you go to Goodwill or Value Village or Salvation Army or whatever, wherever you start, Ross's, TJ Maxx, all kind of places where you can get stuff reasonable, but you do. And so this is no different. And you and I have been running around these internet streets, and we've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of people come, a lot of people go, and I really truly believe that a part of that is um, deciding what you want to do and deciding what you're going to do, and being consistent about it and getting started, because that's the first step. It's almost like I talked to somebody the other day about writing a book, and they were like, can you help me in this and that? I said, well, here's the thing. I said, there are people that I know that is what they do for their job. I said, now, if you want some tips and tools, I can give you those. I said, but I'm not going to go deep and hold your hand and all that stuff, because that's not what I do. And I don't enjoy that. I said, but they were asking me, for different things like, do you have a editor? Do you have a formatter and all these things, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah. I said, I got all those things or whatever. And so I I talked to them, and they said, I said, what do you, I said, have you written the book, Sean? They had not even written the book. I said, well, then why are
Wow.
you worried about all the rest of that? I said, none of
Wow.
that stuff matters until you write the book.
Correct.
I said, so what you need to be focusing on is writing the book. I said, all those other things, I said, those are easy to get. I said, you can hire somebody off of Fiverr. You know, if you know a teacher, you know, an English teacher or something like that, you can, you know, hire one of them to do it. I said, it's all kind of ways you can get it done, you know? So it's really no excuses if you think about it. And that's really what you have to tell yourself. There are no excuses. It's all about me. I can do this, and just do it and get started. You know, do one thing at a time. You know, like every day, tell yourself, if you work a job, you know, and I know how that can be. You work a job, you got kids, you know, you're trying to have a business on the side and all these things, and so you're busy, 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 busy. But you take one every day, you do something toward your business every day, whatever it is that you decide you want to do, because that's a whole nother journey right there. Because for me, I came out here and I think I was doing one thing at one time, and then I've morphed and changed and shifted into, you know, some other things, because those are the things that I learned that I really enjoyed, you know, and I wanted to do, because I didn't want to create a job. I have those. Matter
Correct.
of fact, I used to work 2 and 3 and 4 at a time. I said, I have those. I don't want to create a job. I want to create something that's fun for me
Wow.
and something that makes money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first from our very special guest, Mrs. Tammi Morrison. Definitely make sure that you subscribe to her channel, Straight Out Savannah. She is on YouTube. Subscribe to her. Yeah, pretty much everywhere, correct? Like
Yeah.
obviously here, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just
Yeah.
follow her. Follow her,
TikTok.
follow her, follow
I
her.
learned.
So one last question. So, what are you currently working on now at the moment? What is it that the audience can expect? Your current project?
So I'm doing 3 and 6 month spiritual mentoring.
Okay.
And so I call it magic and mentoring, three
Okay.
months and 6 months. And it was something that came to me because I have had some clients that, like, I did a 4 week program with one of my clients, and it was really good, but I felt like it needed to be longer.
Okay.
You know, I felt like she could have used more.
Okay.
And at the time I didn't really know how to go about that. You know what I mean? I wasn't sure, you know, like, we talked and I talked to her, and I think she's actually going to work with me again. So
Okay.
this program together because I thought this is great, because you'll get two sessions a month, 1-to-1 sessions. You'll get two a month, and I want them to be staggered out every other week, because it's a lot of energy and stuff that you're using when I do these sessions. So the sessions are, you know, where people are coming in and they are, you know, entering their spiritual awakening journey. You know, they're trying to figure out these gifts and, you know, trying to integrate it into their lives, do the shadow work.
Right. Right. Right.
And
Right.
so, and me as a spiritual empowerment mentor and guide, I can help them to move through this. But they need to have integration time, because it's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't want it to be a program like I've been in programs where it was so much work and so much stuff that you really didn't even have time to integrate, because it was
Mm,
just much stuff. And so I know that our ideal clients are us. So your ideal client is you. A couple steps back. So I know that. So I know how I am. And I know that, you know, if I get 50,000 modules of something, I'm not going to do it, because it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be
agreed.
too much. I can't do it. So, you know, I know that. So I'm like, nah, nah. So I wanted to create something where, you know, we can I want them to feel held, and I want them to feel loved, and I want them to feel supported. And so I thought, if I did two 1-to-1 sessions, you know, twice a month, for 3 months and 6 month periods, I felt like that would be perfect for people to be able to integrate. And then, of course, they would have access to me by email. And, you know, most of my clients just text me, and I'm all right with that. Messenger, however they want to, you
Correct.
know, and I think that's great. And I thought about even a private Facebook group, but a lot of my clients are not on Facebook.
Mm, okay.
So, but yeah, I'm excited about that, because I call it magic and mentoring. So it's like bringing your magic forward and helping you to move to this place where you see in your mind, but you might not be able to get there by yourself. looking for a guide, somebody to help you, to shine the light and open up the window and open the doors for you.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful. So,
Yeah.
guys, if you are interested in that, by all means, please feel free to reach out
Yeah.
to Tammy. She definitely is an expert as far as at what she does, and you're going to be seeing her face a whole lot more as she's going to be doing podcasts, right? And really, she's going to start interviewing more people. So, if you are interested in being a guest as far as on her podcast show, please feel free to definitely go ahead and reach out to her. And also, in addition, if you're watching this and you're like, wow, you know what, this is pretty cool. And if you're interested in having your own channel built for you and being on TV and radio and using that as a platform to really spearhead your message, your brand, your story, then please feel free to reach out to myself or Mrs. Tammi Morrison, and we can definitely go ahead and get you plugged in. So, with that being said, this concludes episode 151 of Transformation Greatness along with the Small Business Network podcast. It's been an absolute joy and a treat to be interviewing you once again, Tammy. I thank you so much.
Yeah.
And we're going to end this segment like I do all the others. And if what we stated on here either motivated, transformed, or inspired at least one person,
Yeah.
may God be the glory, and we take no credit for absolutely none of it. Until
Yeah.
then, you're all amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Stay tuned because there's going to be some updates that I'm definitely going to be sharing on my social media handles. So pay attention to that. And with that being said, look forward to seeing you all on the next episode.
Yep.
Peace and love, family. Thank you so much for your time.
Yep.
Enjoy your Saturday.
Bye now.
Good night.